Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Game on Cloud 9 here, and I'm here to bring you guys actually a rant segment today. Basically, I'm going to be just talking straight off the cuff. I don't have any notes with me right now, don't have a script, no nothing, because I'm just a little bit annoyed, and this is actually something that's annoyed me for probably the past couple months on YouTube, on forum sites, about the hate that Naruto and Bleach receive. Now, before some of you guys probably are wondering why I'm making this video, or probably think I'm just a fanboy of both the series, and I'm just pissed because people have certain criticisms, I'm just going to say out the gate, I don't care about criticism of a series, but I just get a bit annoyed when you have, a whole community that's supposed to supposedly be fans of the series, yet they're constantly complaining or harping on one thing they didn't like, rather actually than talking about the material that is in the story. Now, what you may wonder as far as what I mean by this. Well, I think about like last year, if we were to talk about with Bleach, how much hate the Bleach franchise received, Kubo being called a bad writer over and over again. It's only recently now where people are saying, oh, because they like this final arc, that, oh, it's good, I liked it. But before, people were saying Kubo had plot holes, there were contradictions in stories, inconsistencies, and to me that really never made sense. And the reason why I say that is because it seems as though people, for whatever reason, whenever they don't like something, everything has to become wrong with it now. There is never a middle ground where, someone can just say, I got tired of this series, or it's not for me anymore. Like, I always see, like, people put comments saying that something's badly written, it doesn't make sense anymore, like, oh, especially with Naruto currently. In the past couple months, people have been talking about, well, actually not in the past couple months, probably the past year or two of Naruto, as soon as this 4th grade ninja war started, people were complaining, bashing the series left and right, and, saying Kishimoto doesn't know what he's doing anymore, he's running out of ideas, that Kishimoto has flaws in the series, plot holes, and it doesn't make any sense, the war doesn't make any sense. And again, even with the war idea, that never made any sense to me, because if I look at the 4th grade ninja war, I can remember out the gate, in like probably the first couple chapters of it, when we saw the Sai and Deidara fight, like the whole Sai, Deidara, Sasori, you guys know what I'm talking about. When that fight went down, I saw people complaining then because they didn't like how that battle went. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a big fan of that battle either, so that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, you don't have to like everything that's going on in the story, but all I saw since then was negative stuff. Like, it's almost as if people are saying that Kishimoto just did everything wrong in this war, which to me doesn't make any sense, once again. And the reason why I'm saying that is because just because a writer doesn't do necessarily what you want them to do, it doesn't make them a bad writer. At least not to me. I'm not saying I'm the expert on writing or I know everything about writing, but to me, a writer's job isn't to necessarily impress their fans, or do everything that they want their fans to do. They're trying to tell a story, and if Kishimoto or even Kubo have a story in mind, it's almost as if nobody will just let them tell it. It's almost as if, like, people will get disappointed before something even happens. I mean, right now in the Naruto manga, we have the whole situation with Toby. I already know we're going to have a shitstorm when Toby's mask comes off. I already know it's going to happen. Not because Toby's identity will be bad or anything like that, but because people are prepared to be disappointed. People are looking for Kishimoto to mess up instead of anticipating, that they will, or at least looking forward to it and actually wanting to be surprised by who it is, or looking at the greater meaning of it. Like, that's why I take a little bit of a different approach with the Obito thing. I think that he's going to end up being Obito. I mean, if you're looking at this video and this is after the whole Toby reveal and it's not Obito, then, that's fine too. But I think it's going to be Obito. And I have no problem with that. And even if it, I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan of the Obito thing, but what's more important to me is the explanation behind how Obito survived. But it seems as though now you have people are just saying, oh, Kishimoto doesn't know what he's doing because if, it's Obito, or that would just be bad writing. And to me, yes, the hype was a little bit too high. He did push the hype up a lot. I don't think that that makes him a bad writer just because people were able to predict what was going to happen in the manga. That's just my opinion. I mean, if you predicted, one thing that happened later on, even if there was a lot of hype behind it, I still don't think that that makes him a completely bad writer. It just, I mean, I really don't. I mean, again, you also have to think about too that, like if you're just a person that casually watches Naruto, I mean, I'm a big fan of Naruto and Bleach, but if you're a person that casually watches the series, you may not necessarily catch that. So, I mean, I do think that, I don't think that the whole Obito reveal is necessarily a bad reveal. But, to talk about Bleach, Bleach is something else I think about now. Now that the Fullbring arc is done, people are praising it and saying that Bleach is back. But honestly, I don't see what's really changed from Kubo's writing from back, at the end of the Fake Katakura Town arc through the Fullbring arc to now. I mean, I expect for people within the next couple months to hate on this arc. Let one thing happen and you will have a shitstorm. I almost feel like Kishimoto and Kubo don't get any breaks as writers. I mean, I think some people were even mad about the fact that Byakuya died, but the same people who were mad at the fact that Byakuya died were people who were complaining about the fact that Kubo doesn't have any deaths in Bleach. Which to me sounds kind of contradictory. And it's the same thing with the Fourth Great Ninja War in Naruto, which I feel as though a lot of people, who say they're Naruto fans never really gave a chance. Because people always talked about, more of the Konoha 11 need to get more screen time. Now, there weren't a lot of them that got a lot of screen time this war, I will admit. But I remember during the whole fight with Choji, when Choji fought against Asuma, people were complaining left and right. Where's Naruto? We haven't seen him into this war. I want to see Naruto. He hasn't done anything. We haven't seen him in like 30 chapters or whatever, or I guess in a few episodes. And it was just constant complaining. This is when the chapters were new or when they were coming out. And I was confused at the fact, why people were complaining about Naruto coming in the war, because people were, right before this arc started, said they wanted to see some of the other characters showcase their abilities and do something. But you still had the constant hate, that was building up about people complaining about Naruto not making an appearance. Then when Naruto makes an appearance, people get mad because they think Naruto's doing too much. And again, that makes me feel as though like the writer can't win no matter what they do. So, same thing like, Kubo, if it wasn't for this fresh start with this new arc, I feel as though it would be the same thing. He can't win no matter what he does. I mean, even with this new arc, people mad about Byakuya. And I honestly feel as though if a series has ever reached a point to you where you feel as though like there's nothing the writer can ever do to impress you, why do you bother keeping up with it anymore? I mean, honestly, I don't even see a point in that. Some say they just want to finish the end of the series, just to see how it ends. But if that's the case, couldn't you just drop it and come back to it when it's finished? I mean, that's what I would do. I hope I'm not sounding like I'm not mad or anything like that. I mean, this is nothing to get mad or upset about. This is just anime and manga. But I just get a little bit annoyed that I expect to interact with the Naruto fan base and Bleach fan base and talk about the material of both the series, talk about what's going on, and actually see some kind of hype and anticipation in people actually looking forward to something instead of seeing bashing every week, complaining every week, everything being wrong with the chapter, everything has plot holes, which the Fourth Great Ninja War, in my opinion, didn't really have any plot holes. I just feel as though a lot of people didn't understand stuff or didn't read things properly. Same thing with Bleach and the Fake Katakura Town arc, and even prior to all that, I didn't see any plot holes. And you know what? This is coming from a person who really knows their Bleach stuff and really knows their Naruto stuff. I mean, if you want me to explain something to you, I'll even give you my Skype, and I will go ahead and explain things to you if you don't understand something or you want, somebody to explain to you. Because I'm not saying there's not any plot holes in Naruto or Bleach, because every series does have plot holes. I mean, that's just a given. I mean, they may be harder to find in some series, over another. But I'm pretty sure most series, especially a long-running series, is going to have maybe a plot hole here or there or a contradiction here or there. But when people go and over-exaggerate and say there's like 30, 40 plot holes within the Fourth Great Ninja War within itself, to me, that just means you weren't reading, or you weren't actually paying attention to everything. And now that's not to criticize anybody who feels a certain way. If you didn't like the war, that's fine. I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that, because we're all entitled to our opinions. We all can feel a certain way about, these chapters. It doesn't matter. It's just all opinions. We're all just enjoying these series at the end of the day. But, I feel as though if there really are like 30, 40 plot holes in the 4th Grade Ninja War, I feel as though, one, they should actually, there is actually one plot hole I actually want to mention. And I feel as though, like, the whole Toby and Geto Mazo thing, like, why didn't he bring the Ten Tails back at the beginning of the war? That, to me, can be considered a plot hole. With the whole Kinkaku and Genkaku thing, why didn't he just take their chakra and put it in there at the start of the war and then resurrect the Ten Tails? But at the same time, I don't like to just call things plot holes out the gate, because I'm still waiting for more of an explanation of certain parts of the Moon's Eye plan. Because if anybody knows, Sasuke is also supposed to be factored into this Moon's Eye plan in some way. Because if anybody remembers, Toby said himself that he needs Naruto and Sasuke to fight so that it can help stimulate Sasuke. Not only that, but he needs Sasuke's eyes for something. So definitely, I feel as though with the with the whole Moon's Eye plan, that there's more to it that needs to be explained. And even with Toby's identity, and when you have the whole thing about the war itself, like what was the purpose of the war? If anybody remembers correctly, like back to the battle with the 4th Hokage, when Toby fought against the 4th Hokage during the Nine-Tailed Fox attack, Toby also talked about wanting to wage war back then. And it kind of makes you think, why does he want to wage war so bad? I mean, even back then, he had the Nine Tails in his hand. He was controlling the Nine Tails. So why not just take it, put it inside the Geto Mazo, and be done with it? So I think that there's more of a purpose on why Toby is doing what he's trying to do, or why he wanted a war in the first place. There has to be something more to it, in my opinion. That's what I'm looking for. If there's no kind of explanation given after this war is done, then I stand corrected, and I'll admit that. But I just feel as though people have never given this 4th Grade Ninja War this chance. Everyone's always had a negative outlook on it, since the beginning of the war. And, honestly, if you just think the war is that bad, I would say, and you don't think that the series is going to improve anymore, I just say drop the series. I mean, even if you've been looking at it a long time, if the chapters no longer appeal to you, I just say I wouldn't even look at it anymore. I mean, that's me personally. If I didn't like Naruto anymore, if I didn't like Bleach anymore, I wouldn't do that. Same thing with Bleach. I mean, if Kubo was just doing everything wrong, where he can never impress me with anything in the chapters, I don't care about any of the characters anymore, nothing makes sense to me, then I wouldn't even follow the series anymore, especially if nothing was making sense. If I can't even follow the story, then would there even be a point at looking at it anymore? Because I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. So, that's basically what I say. And also, I want to talk about, I know everybody says part 1 of Naruto and part 2 of Bleach, or not part 2 of Bleach, part 2 of Naruto and part 1 of Naruto, and how both of them, people will say that, part 1 is the best out of any of them, part 2 is just complete shit. To me, personally, I mean, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying what I'm about to say is fact or anything like that, but I like them both equally for different reasons. And, everyone would just say part 1 is just outright better than part 2, like in terms of quality. I don't completely agree with that, because the reason why I even like, them both equally is because it depends on, I feel like, what you're looking for in the story. Part 1, to me, didn't give me the same sense of danger and urgency that part 2 did of Naruto. And not only that, part 1, I do miss the fact that, it did have the more, I guess you can say, peaceful feel to it, and you had the little bit more comedy in it. You had Team 7, nostalgic Team 7 hanging out, going on missions, taking care of business. Sasuke was good back then. Naruto was good. It was, again, more of a peaceful feel. Part 2, Sasuke left. Things got a little bit more rougher, more serious. But the reason why I like them both equally is, even though you lost the whole comedic feel kind of in Shippuden, I like the fact that there was a sense of urgency that came, you know, as they grew on. I feel as though when a series, you know, continues to go, that there should be more of a sense of urgency and more danger involved. Not only that, but I like the fact that in part 2, Naruto became more of the focus. In part 1, I kind of felt as though Sasuke was more of the main focus as far as the villains were concerned. I mean, you look at Orochimaru. He was more concerned about Sasuke. He never really expressed much of an interest in Naruto. You know, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I'm like, my whole point though is that Naruto didn't seem like he was in as much danger back then. He didn't seem like he mattered as much back then. In part 2, he mattered a lot more to in his own story, and that's something that actually used to irritate me in part 1. But I liked Team 7 being together in part 1. I liked them going on missions, and you know, I liked them being a team and Sasuke being good. You know, back then. I mean, I like Sasuke, you know, when he's, I guess, you know, going crazy too. But I'm saying I like them both because I'm like, both of them have something different to offer. You know, so I know everybody will say that, you know, one, you know, is just downright better than another. And I guess this is all just opinion. But I just feel as though, like, you know, for everyone to just act as though, like, Kishimoto's writing just fell off because, you know, he's not putting as much comedy into the story, you know, or maybe there's not as much focus on certain characters, which is something else I kind of want to mention, you know, about how everyone would say the Konoha 11 doesn't get much screen time now, like certain ones. And, you know, I understand that there are, you know, Konoha 11 members that I'd like to see more screen time, such as, like, Rock Lee. Rock Lee is my second favorite character. But if you really think about it, the Naruto story is coming to a close. It's about to end soon. You know, would Rock Lee really matter at this point? You know, or would he really make a big difference against the enemies they're facing at this point? You know, and I'm not saying it would have been nice to get a little bit more Rock Lee screen time, but first off, what development does Rock Lee actually need in the Naruto story currently? I mean, you think about, like, Choji. When Choji got development recently, it was because he kind of needed it. If you look at Choji prior to in part 1, he didn't have much confidence. You look at, you know, even in the beginning of part 2, he still was kind of the same way. So he needed this development. Can anybody actually point out any key factors of Rock Lee's character where he actually needs development? And that goes for a lot of other characters that we haven't necessarily seen get too much screen time. Although, I will say that Kishimoto kind of dropped the ball when it comes down to Tenten, because Tenten didn't really get the screen time that I would have liked to see. You know, we don't even know Tenten's backstory. So, yeah, he dropped the ball on Tenten most definitely, because we don't even know Tenten. I'm not even going to lie about that. But for everyone to say that Kishimoto is a bad writer, to say Kubo is a bad writer, you know, to me, I just feel like that's false. I feel as though, you know, just because you don't like the way a story has turned, you don't like maybe what the writer took something, doesn't make the writer a bad writer. It just may mean the story's not for you anymore, you know, or it just doesn't appeal to your interest anymore. You know, and that's just how I feel personally. But let me know what you guys think. I know I kind of more talked about Naruto than I did Bleach in this video. You know, and I apologize if anybody wanted to hear me make more points when it comes down to Bleach. But basically, these are just my thoughts and opinions and just what came to my mind. Since I told you guys this was just going to be off the cuff, unscripted. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Don't forget to rate this video. So if you like this video, please thumb it up. If you didn't like this video, then you can thumb it down. Also, video responses are welcome, and subscribe if you enjoy my content and you want to see more. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.